Now, Maseno School for the Deaf risks closure due to lack of funds for day-to-day running, occasioned by delayed capitation from the government. The special school has been forced to lobby for aid from well-wishers and non-governmental organizations to stay afloat. It is among thousands of public schools in the country operating on a tight budget, with the government yet to disburse 28 billion shillings capitation, as pledged by Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu last week. Wycliffe Oketch has that report.
The amount of money that the government is releasing this week in junior secondary and also in senior secondary is to a total of 28 billion.
The pledge by the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Ezekiel Machogu, last month was a relief to the heads of public schools who have had to operate on a tight budget due to delayed capitation. Schools have been forced to find a middle ground with parents, since sending learners home over school fee arrears will not serve the purpose owing to the tough economic times.
Because right now as it is, if you send home students, it's most probable that they will not get money. Actually, parents don't have that money. And I want to thank a few of our parents, whenever we send out messages that we are in distress, that they pay their fees, have been able to respond.
School heads also rely on funds from bursaries and student scholarships from various entities, as it is the case in Kisumu Boys High School.
So our backbone is support from our parents, but these sponsors, if and as when their money comes, it really gives us a push.
This week, for instance, Kisumu County Government released more than 102 million shillings in bursaries and scholarships to various learners in various schools across the country. Out of this amount, Kisumu Boys, an extra county school with a student population of over 2,000, received over 1 million shillings in what the school's management describes as godsend.
Godsend in the sense that it's like we have schools have gotten to the level of living their lives almost one day at a time.
The situation is, however, dire at the Maseno School for the Deaf, which has been forced to partially rely on aid from well-wishers.
Apart from government, the children are supposed to pay some subsidized school fees, but many of them come from less fortunate families, and they are not able to pay anything. So when the government is not supporting, we only call upon well-wishers to support us in terms of how we can feed them.
Barak Odhiambo, the school's head teacher, says they have a population of 173 learners, some of whom are both deaf and blind, and must always be under the watch of caregivers.
So my appeal to the government, because this is their responsibility, is to ensure that capitation for the learners with special needs is brought in good time, so that we can be able to retain these learners in schools.
The case of Maseno School for the Deaf paints the picture of how dire the situation is in public schools. This even as school heads continue their appeal to the government to come to their rescue by releasing capitation, a move they say will prevent normal operations from grinding to a halt. For Prime Edition from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Oketch.